Yeah, we'll see what happens then into this game 2. Obviously, only one game down so far, and it's Astral Authority looking to try and take the 2-0 here. Big case scenario for them now. I'm excited to see what happens with the Elevate draft next, though. I think giving Nexamiss maybe, I don't know, something even more pressuring potentially here.
The Cerberus first pick didn't work out too well, and how much of that is the Cerberus, how much of that is how well Wolves plays on the Odin. I think that I wouldn't mind seeing Elevate give Nexamiss a different pick. I think that Coviiii has been really, really impactful so far here today in the console land, and that got to the second ban phase and was banned away. I wouldn't mind seeing Elevate try and prioritize that early on in the draft. Coviii's been so good, he's first pickable right now in my mind with how impactful he's been in these games.
There's definitely times in the metas where we talk about pressure, and most of the time it's pressure in all the lanes, but realistically, it feels like solo lane pressure is the one that has been noticed a bit more in the state of the meta across PC and console for the most part.
Yeah, more so now on console, I think. I mean, PC had a couple games where pressure was very important, but also the Sobek still reigned supreme a lot of the time during that Masters LAN. I wouldn't mind seeing the Sobek here for Nexamiss. It's a comfort pick for him, but overall, I think that going to Coviiii is where I would go to if I'm on Elevate. Try and get that pressure away from Wolves. Even if he is getting his signature Odin, Coviiii can handle that better than Serb.
Well, Game 1 done. Time to move on to Game 2. Astral with the 1 game advantage, best of 3 in the upper bracket. Loser of this tomorrow will have to face off against rival in the lower bracket. The winner of that set moves on to face the winner of this set. Yeah, it sounds confusing. I'll give you a graphic later on to explain if you get a little bit confused about that, but winner of this goes to finals.
Wow, Kumakarna first ban for Elevate. They really felt like Inbowned was the driving force there, I suppose, for Astral. No real surprise that Astral bans away Ullr. They really don't want to let Crimson get that in the mid lane. So the 2 bans are Odin and Kumba. Your typical 2 bans.
But what does that mean gets through? Dodgy, potentially Terra?
Dodgy, Achilles, Terra, all open. If I'm Astral, I'm banning none of those 3. Guarantee yourselves 2.
What's the most dangerous one of those 3 then? Achilles?
I think Dodgy is probably the one that I would prioritize here. Yeah, Terra hasn't had that much success so far today. Dodgy has been really impactful for winning teams. I think if I'm on Astral, I ban Coviiii here. I ban away Coviiii, let Elevate take one of those 3, and then I get 2. I think the worst thing Astral could do in this spot is ban one of those 3 power gods, and that's what they did.
Elevate gave Astral a conundrum to solve.
Get in there and mix it up.
And they have chosen to take the Achilles first pick. Now, obviously, we mentioned the Dodgy. They're going to be picked up here.
I go Dodgy Coviiii, I think, if I'm on Astral.
Does it need picking up right now, though? I mean, Achilles more than likely in the jungle, though, so like they're probably not going to pick it up a jungler.
But it's a flex pick. That's the problem, is that now if you don't pick Dodgy and Coviiii in this spot, Elevate can take, if they want to, either of those and be in a really good spot. Now, there is probably an argument that you can take 2 different gods, like Janus, something else, and then take whatever they don't out of those 3 because they won't pick Coviiii and Dodgy. So Cerberus Dodgy is fine, and I would imagine that this Cerberus is likely going to go to Wolves. He's played a lot of it during this spring split so far in the solo lane, but I really think that giving Wolves those pressure matchups just fits his style so much better.
Sobek and Agni for Elevate 2. Sobek, solo lane against the Cerberus, a pretty classic Guardian encounter of Crocodile versus Doge.
I expect so. It's just one of those matchups where you can expect to get to the mid to late game.
With no kills.
Exactly. You can look to team fight your opponent. You maybe as Cerberus, you can bait out that lurking in the waters, wait for Sobek to use it for mana regen, and then put him underneath the tower. But that's a pretty niche case overall. I do think Cerberus has more kill potential against Sobek with a gank coming in than Achilles does necessarily, but they both can fall if Achilles is coming in for a gank or Dodgy comes in for a gank. These Guardians aren't impervious to those.
Astral now with some more decisions to make for themselves, looking towards a mid laner potentially here, or could start to firm up that duo lane a little bit more so now, get the lead in that duo lane to an extent if the picks are going where they are so far.
Now, I think it could be a Jingwei pick here for Astral Authority if they want to prioritize Coviiii. He struggled a little bit in that last game in lane. Also wouldn't mind seeing oBoronic get his god locked in here right away in game 2. If he wants a Thoth, give it to him. Janus is open, Habwa is open. You've got a couple options there for oBoronic's signature picks that can give him some safety.
What's good against Agni, though? Because I think that's one thing that's in the meta right now, and people don't really talk about it. But what's a good god to deal with an Agni?
Poseidon is pretty good. Poseidon shuts down the cripples.
It's kind of a 50-50 matchup, though,
It
right?
can be. Agni doesn't have a lot of bad matchups, and that's what makes him really strong, is that he can be the aggressor in matchups. He can play safely in a lot of matchups as well.
Yeah.
I think Agni just kind of can do anything you need him to at any given time. I think Poseidon's only the only real thing that whenever I lock in Agni, I'm like, oh, I don't really want to see that. Or Nox. Nox can really shut you down, but I really don't want to see Nox ever in the enemy mid lane.
Well, Astral will take the Janus for themselves. A bit of global mobility. It's screaming mobility to me now, especially with a dodgy locked in already. Those two gods alone, jungle mid synergy, very important, and speed is the key here.
You're going to be difficult to lock either of these two down, and that's why the CC from Elevate is going to be really important. I like the dodgy pick into Achilles. The shield of Achilles is actually a pretty difficult stun to confirm at times. If someone knows it's coming, you can kind of juke that out fairly easily, kind of a la Ymir freeze, where it's a narrow cone right next to you, and you can just run circles around him. Good luck hitting a dodgy who's using that 1,000 cuts to get that extra additional movement speed on top of that. It'll be very difficult for DoctorL to find the stun onto Layers if that is the jungle matchup.
Well, Elevate gonna ban away the Jingwei themselves here up against Astral. Coviiii not going to have that pick for himself. We'll find out what happens next in the grand scheme of how this is going.
Sylvanas, the other ban, to keep the early game a little bit away from Elevate, and that's a smart one because the Sobek is such a good late game team fighter. You expect that Elevate is going to put that in the solo lane and just kind of allow Nexamiss to wait until the later stages. But Achilles, Agni, Sylvanas is a really, really difficult 3v3 to handle in the early to mid game, and Astral's composition does pretty well in that stage, but Janus needs to get a little bit, 19, 20, 22 minutes in that range, whereas Agni's going to be good, level 10 minutes, 11 minutes, a little bit earlier on.
So, Elevate Astral obviously been scrimming coming into this LAN here. They know Coviiii plays for Astral and he loves picking up the Cupid. They've allowed this pick, right? They've allowed it, basically, by banning the Optimus and the Jingwei.
Yeah, but then they pick Susano into it. Susano is a really rough matchup.
You what?
Into Cupid.
Wait, look at it.
That's an interesting selection. That's just kind of... I wouldn't call it straight up disrespect, but it's just they don't seem to be too worried
about the Cupid.
And
okay.
It kind of makes sense.
Outside the Cupid, the Susano against that comp isn't actually too bad. The chase potential against the Janus and the dodgy, very useful. Very
good. I think Susano's the best assassin to play against Janus because he can follow him through walls so well. He can pull him away from portals. I love this Geb selection. It's going to stop some of that against the Susano. This one comes down to me. For me, Susano versus Cupid, and I think that just favors Susano because your jungler, as opposed to an ADC, you're going to get a lot more farm.
And that's in team fights.
This soul pick, Cupid can never kill Mr. White. You have slow immunity on the 3. The only thing Fields of Love does is slow you until it'll get that mez. You can never get that off as long as Mr. White's 3 is up, and then you've got to worry about beads on top of that. This soul pick is perfect. This is kind of like the perfect draft to show, yes, Cupid can be good into certain things, but now what does he do in lane against a soul? He just has no kill potential.
I will add one thing before going to the game too, is the fact that Astral are going to have a very defensive lane there. Cupid, Geb can't do much.
No.
Well, so it will mean Elevate push up.
Yes.
There's a Janus in the middle lane.
Sure.
Gang potential.
Sure. And that could be
That's
the
what
case.
I'm looking at as like, maybe this is the idea. I don't know if they drafted that way.
Couldn't you have picked any hunter in the world? Exactly. And had a lot better opportunities to get kills, to impact the later game team fight. Comfort picks are important, for sure. We've seen Coviiii play things like Apollo. I think that would have fit a little bit better here.
Go into game 3, yes or no?
Man, it's tough. I really like the Susano pickup. I think Elevate's going to take it.
One game down, into game 2 we know. It's effed up, and Taco standing by.
Thanks a lot, friends. And yeah, looking at this one, I think this draft is as messed up as my lines are right now. I don't like the Cupid pick. I think the first time we saw the Cupid pick, it was into a whole mess of things with dashes, and it would mess them up. This time around, I'm with aggro. I don't see a world where this Cupid is a good look.
I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum with this one. Cupid, don't care too much about that, but let's be real here. Most teams don't typically try to focus all of their energy towards killing Coviiii over and over again. There's really no reason to do that. Save those cooldowns for a more strong priority pick, because ADCs right now realistically aren't going to be the ones hard carrying through the team fight most of the time. You're mostly going to be looking towards oBoronic, Layers, DoctorL, Crimson. Those are the candidates that you want to really focus on and make sure that you're snuffing them out before they can respond. And I actually kind of dig the Cupid pick this go round. And I say that simply because Astral Authority have so much spacing control, it's unreal. Elevate, sure, they've got a lot of mobility, but the best way to cancel out that mobility is go with the dodgy, go with the Fields of Love, take that Cerberus Student of Torment. It's so strong having this much control, and realistically, any of these gods from Astral Authority can burn out active so easily against Elevate.
That's fair. This is also the composition that we saw, at least the solo lane pairing that we saw the last time Coviiii brought out the Cupid, was the fact that you can use the Stygian Torment to go ahead and put players directly into that Fields of Love and put them in a spot where they don't have time to really escape, whether they have a sprint or not. Hamster and White taking the aggressive route into lane, but Astral will be able to deal with it. And taking a look at that poll, people still feeling Astral on this one.
And again, I really don't think that Coviiii is taking the Cupid here because he's like, oh man, yeah, this is my time to shine. He's doing it purely because he knows that it's actually going to funnel pretty heavily into the control composition that Astral is really looking for. And Inbound actually opting for the sprint as his first relic choice, but didn't get the upgraded sprint. Wanted the boots as the secondary item that he built into, so he's not going to get the in-hand bonus that you'd normally be looking for.
That haste, yeah.
But you don't have to worry about super over-aggression by Mr. White and IAmTheHamster, because even if Coviiii gets plucked out of position, he still has that dash.
Yeah, and that dash is, I mean, that's the size of a football pitch, right? Like, you're going crazy. Wolves over here. Stay insane versus Nexamiss. Taking a bunch of poke. Enemy jungler in the jungle, but Layers right behind him as well, so Layers here looking for the blue buff. DoctorL gonna look to finish it, and they'll let him. Wolves can't even punish that one. I don't know about that one. Curious choice there from Astral Authority.
Unfortunate for DoctorL because he invested towards that rotation.
Nope, that's my fault.
Simply
that's my fault.
Yeah, well, that one I don't think we really had to worry about it too much. Speaking of which, that's the pluck and duck by Coviiii. He doesn't really care too much about it because Hamster, just now hitting level 3, probably didn't have that tail whip to try and cancel out the Cupid dash.
Exactly.
So Coviiii will have to be very wary of that the first few rounds now of getting plucked, that he doesn't immediately panic dash away because it is very easy to be caught out by the Sobek.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be too problematic still, though.
Yeah, I mean, Astral Authority, I guess there's two ways of looking at this. One is how Aggro and I just weren't really thrilled with the Cupid, but I think you kind of put it in the right light, Taco, in that Coviiii is not the #1 option on this team. Coviii's not the #2 option on this team. Coviii's frankly not the #3 option on this team. He is the 4th option. If that, I think Inbound is probably the 4th option, mayhaps not on the get.
I think Coviii's the real support for this team because he doesn't tend to go for the flashy plays very often. He's just somebody who fully understands his role is meant to provide assistance, and I think that's why we see him prioritizing so many of the utility hunters as opposed to the hyper carry ones. He likes the lane to be passive. He doesn't need to play aggressive because he knows that when he's with the rest of Astral, I mean, they just make the craziest situations so favorable. It's kind of unreal at times.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of those things where, like, you don't necessarily have to. When you have players like Wolves, Layers, and oBoronic on your team, it's nice because you don't have to do the heavy lifting. You can just show up to work and give them a pencil, and they will draw the picture for you. And that's really what you see the duo lane here for Astral Authority doing. As long as they're able to tread water, make it to the mid game, they're able to add some control to the element, and then watch the rest of the team really combine, and you see everything sort of come together then.
And for what it's worth, both drafts considered, I do like this one a lot more out of Elevate. I think that they definitely made the right decision giving Nexamiss a god he can fully play aggressive on. We've already seen him start to have a little bit more of a stance to take up against Wolves, which is super important because keeping Wolves stuck in the solo lane is going to be very, very important for Elevate, because that just means that Astral Authority won't be able to rely on this Cerberus during some of these earlier engagements.
Early on in this one here, Astral Authority able to pick up the first game of our 3-game set. Potential 3-game set. Elevate, of course, need to win this one to see some bonus Smite. And honestly, like you said, with the way the draft, I'm very happy with the draft on the side of Elevate. Here's the, I don't want to say problem, but I guess the stipulation. oBoronic's Janus, Layers is Dashi, and Wolves is Cerberus are 3 of the scarier God player combinations on the console, period.
I think what really terrifies me looking at Astral's draft, and what also confirms my thoughts that it might not be as awful as it seems, remember what happened when oBoronic last played Janus today?
That's
because
what I'm saying.
He went full-on Super Saiyan, power levels over 9,000, because there is no alternate reality where that game is won by Astral if oBoronic doesn't turn up the way he did against Rival.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And this has been, oh man. oBoronic is a great example of a player that just didn't give up. I mean, early on, watching oBoronic sort of play, he definitely didn't start his career the way he looks right now. Layers fighting into 3 different players going into the ultimate. Oh, oBoronic just barely missing that ultimate. But Mr. White has the accuracy. And first blood goes to Elevate. Second blood will as well. Mr. White starting things off hot with a double kill.
That's exactly what Elevate needed, especially after everything that occurred in the last game. Nexamiss, gotta be careful playing around with wolves. Does have that Fatal Strike. Oh no, actually, he already used the Fatal Strike against wolves. Probably to avoid that tower, because they've been going at it for quite some time here in the solo lane.
Yeah, it was an ult for ult situation. Wolves goes ahead and drops him under the tower, like you said. Just zoom! Zooms on over. That's the noise it makes, by the way. Zoom!
He's just trying to mix it up.
Can you make that noise?
No.
Zoom!
What,
That was talking.
what, are you saying zoom or?
Yeah. Because he zooms. Say it, Taco.
I wish that people could see the arm motion that you make when you do that every single time.
I want you to say it.
No, because I think of wasn't there a car commercial with the zoom?
You gotta stop hanging out with Anatoly. Flat out.
No, there was a car commercial from like way back in the day. I swear.
Yes, Anatoly brings this up on cast all the time.
Wait, are you trolling me right now?
No, I'm not.
I had no idea.
I'm shutting this down. Watch, this is how, folks, this is how you do it. 7:20 on the clock here. Elevate 2 kills to none. They lost.
You missed the perfect Sobek opportunity. And no one's gonna understand this outside of the casting team, but it doesn't matter.
You are the worst. I'll tell the story. Once upon a time, Taco was a young caster, and you can talk a little bit more freely on stream than you can on broadcast, and she got into a lot of trouble. And so I avoid that conversation by going, so DoctorL, he's going to get grabbed here, and oBoronic finds an answer back kill. Nice and easy. No real conversation there. Astral able to find another, at least 1 kill here, which is the important part. But just like clockwork, Nexamiss answers back, taking care of Layers in his own jungle. Taco, you were asking for this. Nexamiss on a character you can be aggressive with.
This is what Nexamiss loves to do most. He wants to be in your face. He's kind of like wolves. They both kind of have the same goal in mind, in that they just want to make life hell for whoever it is that has to go towards that soul inside. And more often than not, it ends up being the junglers. And Layers, alongside of oBoronic, just got off a great punish against DoctorL for overextending, trying to invade on those harpies. And then Layers ends up dying anyway, doing the same exact thing.
Yep. Just the old-fashioned punish. The old-fashioned punish. Crimson here on the Agni. I want to see him make a really big impact. Let it be known, I love the Agni selection. I think this character is fantastic. Long-range initiation, big stuns, AoE ranged stuns. Taco, right now we're going to see them invade, so I'll hold my question, but I'm going to ask you later. Right now the red buff being contested. Looks like it's all Elevate. Here comes Astral Authority. oBoronic down the middle. Going to cut 1 player at least with the ultimate. Hits Dr. White with the Unstable Vortex. But DoctorL very low will get cut down by Layers. And Mr. White again on the soul finds another kill. Crimson in trouble, dashes away. And that will be good.
And the patience there by oBoronic to not portal forward, kind of expecting that stun to be followed up by Crimson. So Crimson counting his lucky stars that he makes it out alive. That was a really well-placed Janus ultimate, a really well-placed Fields of Love. A bit shocking that Astral Authority didn't get more out of it, and it's really credited to Mr. White there, because he puts in the damage that they needed against Layers before Layers even has an opportunity to fully utilize that dodgy 1,000 cuts.
Inbound served up, and Mr. White looking for the damage. Now switching targets over to Coviiii. Inbound will separate the Hunter from the support. And there's another kill for Astral Authority. And Mr. White has looked great. He's 3 kills 0, 0, 0, or 3, 0, 0 rather. 2 levels above Coviiii. Is this a problem?
That's not really Coviii's problem, though. I mean, it is, but it isn't, because it's not like Coviiii just handed Mr. White the lane. Mr. White has just happened to be in the right place at the right time because he follows the rotations and he listens to his teammates' calls, and so he's always managed to help ensure that a cleanup occurs whenever the fight breaks out. It's just been really strong map awareness, I would say, over everything else from Mr. White. And Coviiii, while he's also had some pretty strong rotations and some well-placed ultimates, there's only so much to be done when you've got 2 assists as opposed to 2 kills.
Yeah, I guess he's got to play the hand he was dealt. The hand he was dealt included a Cupid. Elevate now, looking to invade Astral one more time with the red buff. Great bomb stun on the Inbound. He follows up with the ultimate. oBoronic cuts one down. Coviiii gets DoctorL. Crimson could be next. Coviiii can't find him. Beautiful shot again. Brought to you by oBoronic.
Coviiii was thinking about it. Meanwhile, Wolves still ends up finding Crimson in the mid lane instead. Nexamiss was saying hello to the back end of Astral Authority, but everybody kind of forgot that Crimson's still alive.
oBoronic, man. Just, oBoronic is out of control. This guy is... oBoronic seems like he's willing his team to find these wins. It's like the squad just... Man, what a player.
Something about Inbound walking at you in the jungle. Well, I mean, he wasn't even walking at them in that case. He just had everybody on top of him. But oBoronic just has like a homing heat signal for wherever Inbound is at.
Yep.
And if you are trying to swarm Inbound, you're going to catch a Janus ult to the face every time.
And it's a scary one, too. It is a scary look here. oBoronic making just great usage. And like I said, this guy climbed the ranks of this team. Started off on a poor end team and had some things to learn himself. And now, I mean, one of the premier players on all of console.
Overall outcome of that team fight, though, because both sides pretty much traded out the even 2 for 2, that's going to mean that neither side really has any ample opportunity to look for an additional tower. Mr. White already having found the T1 in duo because he simply has more of a lead. Soul also a little bit more sustainability in comparison to the Cupid, so he just kind of gets to sit around a little bit longer. Eventually that T1's going to fall no matter what. It's very hard to out-push a Soul.
Oh, yeah. You can't. I don't think there's a god that can. AMC?
Hachiman, maybe? Heavenly Banner, steroid?
Even with that, I mean, if it came, like...
If it came down
damage,
to it, I think Soul wins there every single time for structure damage.
It's so scary.
Soul and Chronos.
Yeah, Soul and Chronos. Soul feels like if you back at the wrong time, you look back up at your minimap and you just go, oh, okay. It's 4 minutes. He got my tower. Nexamiss right now at 13.5. Well, he's going to dodge the chains. Great job. But can he dodge the hands is a different question. Here comes the ultimate from the jungler. Susano, that's his name.
So much investment, though, to come up short. And now it's going to be Bobby who's getting turned upon. Cataclysm does come out, but it doesn't even make a difference. Path of Flames from Crimson. Going to make sure to take out the rock. And this could very well be the Gold Fury opportunity that we were kind of hoping to see.
oBoronic still is the ultimate, so if that's the case for Elevate, they've got to be careful. Taking care of vision is certainly the first step to that. But Gold Fury doesn't seem to be on the minds of Elevate. Still, I mean, this one's basically tied, about 1,000 gold separating our teams, and Elevate not looking to stretch that just yet.
I respect it because Mr. White is doing a little bit more of a mage-related build on the Soul. He's just now starting to build into that Bancroft's talent, and as a result, he probably doesn't have as much strength is what you'd want when trying to quickly siege a Gold Fury, and I do think that there was still plenty of steal opportunity there to be provided by oBoronic, or at least oBoronic would have been able to buy enough time for Wolves to possibly rotate, and then you just get a whole sort of clown fiesta.
Yeah, you get what you weren't asking for. Wolves has not really made those rotations just yet, and Elevate's very happy about that. The one rotation Wolves has made, he got that kill. Almost got the secondary kill. Yeah.
Layers has to connect on those Pal ultimates, though.
Yes.
I know the sprint was popped, and I can understand how difficult it is, especially on box when controller is what you're using as opposed to keyboard and mouse. But
sure.
You have to land that. I mean, it was such a heavy commitment by Astral, and that commitment, they threw 3 bodies into the solo lane, and Bobby's all by himself in the mid. There's no one to assist you because your team just dropped the kill. So Astral just getting punished for not capitalizing in the moment.
Great play from Elevate to go ahead and respond like that, though. I think a lot of teams walking in different directions. So heads up play there from the, I don't know, what do you call them? The Red Mountains. Ultimate out of Wolves, tossing him underneath the tower. Nexamiss does have the ultimate to dash away, but doesn't need to just yet.
Looked like that paralyzing spit was just a moment too soon because it seemed like it passed straight through Nexamiss.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that he was considered on the ground even, so he might have still been untargetable.
That might have been it.
Rather unfortunate for Wolves because that T1 plus the paralyzing spit stun might have been enough to keep Nexamiss locked down there into his death. Instead, Nexamiss now has that Fatal Strike back up and running, and Wolves, well, he's going to be missing out on that Stringent Torment.
Mystical Mail being built here by Nexamiss. Going to match what Wolves has done here. Wolves with the very expensive physical defense item. Makes sense. He had a little bit of a lead. He's against the physical in lane. Nexamiss goes ahead and picks up the Mystical Mail. Again, sort of matches what Wolves is doing, but doesn't have the same mentality. Why do we see Nexamiss grab this item?
The Mystical Mail, I think, is mostly to help control Astral during the team fights. He's just trying to spread as much damage as possible. Also, to keep Layers and Wolves technically considered in combat from the Mystical Mail tick so they can't blink in for their initiations. I think that's another really underlooked factor of the Mystical Mail at times. So, and I love the Achilles pickup, too, because we've already seen it activate a couple of times. Every single time Wolves has looked for that Ghastly Breath, he's had to fort or waste it on the Achilles proc.
I love that choice. I think that item has a really big impact a lot of the time. Oh no, Bobby could be in a bad spot. Stunned out by Nexamiss. Uses his ultimate. Here comes help from Crimson, and he'll be able to roll away no problem. Layers versus DoctorL though. This is a different story. Meanwhile, Wolves on the back line. DoctorL beats is out the pull, so won't be in that position. Wolves, however, 1 versus 2, 1 versus 3, 1 versus 4. Inbound is here, but is it too late? oBoronic shows up as well. Tail whip is good. The unstable is not, and now oBoronic finds himself in trouble. No portal, no life. Nexamiss gets the kill.
Bit of a doozy on that one. It's not over just yet either. Fatal Strike, way too easy to line up there off of the stun. Nexamiss gonna take out Wolves on the back end now and still looking for more against Layers. Layers did confirm his speed buff, but all the while, Elevate just got Mr. White split pushing on its solo or in duo.
And here comes the help from DoctorL. Coviiii is low and will have to use the Aegis, but Layers of Death from the back line. Looking for help on the bottom side, and Nexamiss is trailing. Crimson even joining the party as well, and 18.5 in. We might see a Phoenix push. No, it's a fallback to the Gold Fury. This is the correct call.
The safe call.
Yes.
And I think that playing it safe is sometimes all you got to do. Astral Authority respecting the pressure that Elevate have established all across the map and not even bothering to venture towards that Gold Fury pit. You kind of just assume they're going to take it. These two teams, we've talked about it time and time again. They are very familiar with each other, and I think it's really starting to be highlighted in this set between these two because every single time you think that one's going to have the upper hand, it's just an immediate response from the other. And Astral, I think that was the first real engagement that they ended up completely losing out on.
Yeah, Astral have been able to really fight back into things, and this time not going to be the case. Elevate have a 6,000 gold lead, and that is the beginning of something terrifying. Elevate can just take this lead and go even further.
Astral just have to get inbound to a stage where he can fully participate. Speaking of participation, Layers looking for the 1v1 against DoctorL and gets bodied in the process.
Well-earned taunt. Well-earned taunt. Just takes care of things. Hundreds of 0. for the jungle Susano. Like that play. Pyromancer here, started by Elevate. Half HP already. And this one's going to do it on nice and easy. Really no response whatsoever. oBoronic! Peace.
You know, you said something earlier, Tom, about a long-range stun, a long-range poke, long-range bombs, and I can't help but feel like there's some similarities here between Crimson's god choice of Thoth and his god choice of Agni.
From a distance. Wolves in trouble here. Dodges one bomb. Can't dodge the nonsense out of Nexamiss. Uses the ultimate here to toss him under the tower. Runs away. Wolves knows when he's beat. He will not take that fight and leave the Agni and the Achilles over there on the right line to deal with the tower as they see fit. Tier 1 solo promos.
W's all across the board if you are an Elevate fan right now, because they have full control of this map, and poor Coviiii, he's just going to be another casualty of war, it seems, because DoctorL makes sure to take him out inside of the Fields of Love, absorbs the stun, doesn't even need to waste the purification beads because all the threat is already gone.
So my question, and we're not there yet at all, not even a 10,000 gold lead. My question for a team like Astral is, do we at all see a surrender call, and when does that come? 15 thou, 20 thou?
No, not a chance.
Never?
I say never because you never know whether or not Boronic's going to go Super Saiyan again. And Astral Authority's composition, not exactly meant for the early to mid. I would hardly even pass it for a mid-game team fighting composition as much as it is just purely late game for me. But that in itself could be the larger issue at hand here for Astral Authority, because they weren't able to play this game to the pacing that they wanted.
And that's kind of what I'm getting at is yes, you never want to take out the idea. And like I said, we are not there yet. 10,000, 9,000 gold is not even where, you know, not even where you start thinking about it. But at what point do you say, all right, we tried the strategy. It didn't work out. Could we make this a 2-hour-long game and win? Sure, maybe, but Astral Authority is a momentum-based team in my eyes, and I think this is a squad that really, we didn't do it. Next game we can. Pick some earlier gods, ready, set, go, get back into the mindset. Astral not going to do that, you don't think?
No, if anything, I definitely don't think that they'll have 6. And like I was saying, if anything, Astral will just talk about where they can improve for Game 3, or like heading into Game 3, what parts of the draft need to be reevaluated and revamped and things like that.
Use the game time for,
exactly, and you can also use this ending portion, whether or not you're winning or losing the team fights, just to kind of get a better understanding of how exactly Elevate are choosing to approach the siege.
Well, Astral right here, sieging themselves up the left side lane. DoctorL by himself in the middle lane. Nexamiss going to the right side. Here comes the ultimate out of oBoronic, trying to meet up with DoctorL. Won't be the case, though. All 5 players of Astral are here. And all 6 towers of Astral are gone.
And I'm honestly okay with this. Although, things could be even better here, possibly for Astral Authority. They're able to find this pick onto Nexamiss. He still has that Fatal Strike. Dashi gonna opt to go in even further.
Oh, we got him.
That's the pick that they needed. Layers finally connects with the powwow, punishing Nexamiss for his over-aggression.
Yeah, he finally got him. You were saying that you need to land those. Well, he does. 4 players still have the Fire Giant buff, and perhaps more importantly, 2 players have the red buff. Crimson and Mr. White both with access to that amplified power, so they are going to be very scary as Elevate tries to fight into Astral Authority.
All Astral need to do is hit level 20. That is their primary focus, and it needs to be, because just look at the way that they're all grouped and pushing outside of Wolves, but Wolves can kind of just do whatever he wants. He knows what he's doing.
He's sort of earned that ability, right? Can kind of do whatever he wants. And you were talking about this team needing to just head down and farm up, and that's what they're doing here. Now they're grouped up, so they're sharing all these waves, but they're able to get the farm. They're also able to get the towers, which of course will provide you with a little bit of that as well. Astral on the retreat now. Big pull coming out from Susano. Inbound and everybody else through the Janus portals. See you later.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
To Elevate. Astral Authority throws up peace sign, and they are out of there. Thanks
Fading
to
away.
oBoronic.
oBoronic. I can't say enough about this kid.
they got really close to taking that T2 too. And everybody on the right-hand side, Wolves will start the back as opposed to staying and split pushing that left-hand T2 that's still standing for Astral. And I like that choice because Wolves needs to be here for this base defense.
Yeah, he can't be anywhere else. That ultimate is a big deal. Stygian Torment going to be a huge part of what Astral want to do. Wolves goes forward, he pops the ultimate immediately, and it gets largely immune. Players on the other side, 2 sets of beads it looks like were used. So elevate now. Gonna be an interesting spot. Layers looking for a pull, but he's the one getting in trouble. Goes right up into the Powwow, looking for the pulls into the Cupid ultimate, but the Cupid ultimate already is dissipated. Phoenix, not very healthy, crumbling, and the bird will sit down.
They're definitely gonna end up losing at least one of them here today, and Elevate don't really seem all that interested in trying to push for another. Instead, they're gonna back off, and for good reason. That Fire Giant buff no longer gonna be in effect, so better to play it safe as opposed to sorry, because this game is their last chance of staying, or I shouldn't say their last chance of staying in this tournament, because they could very well run back through the lower bracket and potentially find themselves in the finals yet again. However, nobody wants to be the team that ends up in the lower bracket. You always want to go through from the winner's end.
Yep. And of course, we will see an advantage in the winner's side. Certainly want to take that one home. Astral trailing by just shy of 15,000 gold. Crimson and DoctorL looking to punish Boronic and Wolves, and look at Boronic nice and easy. Wolves cut down to half, but he'll escape here. I won't say no problem, because it's certainly a problem losing Boronic at this point in the game.
That's a bit of a doozy on that death timer. Fortunately enough for Astral Authority, it happened, for starters, in the opposite side of the map, so it's going to take some time for Elevate to work their way. But I don't think Astral are trying to contest the Fire Giant anyway.
But you would toss the Janus. No, not even?
I'd rather have Boronic hold on to that through space and time and choose to use it during a Phoenix defense, because at least he has a chance of one-shotting Mr. White.
That's fair. We did see that a number of times in game number 1 when Astral played. That was Rival, right? Where he was able to just make a great usage of that Janus ultimate on the defensive. So we'll see if that's the same case for Astral. Elevate coming up the mid lane.
It's just going to be so rough for Astral to continue burning out the ultimates of Elevate, and I say that because everybody's full build now from Elevate, outside of IAmTheHamster, who's still holding on to that Guardian's Blessing, just now managing to sell it and start building into one more defensive item. But Vision, pots, actives, everything is just so one-sided right now in Elevate's favor, and it's just rough stuff for Astral trying to continue finding picks when you're going up against the full build team.
That said, it's getting closer and closer to a situation where Astral will be full build themselves. You can see all the players outside of Wolves still have their starter items. Wolves, been done. Been sitting there with the 6 items, sweet, ready to go. As I said, Layers, Boronic, Inbound, and Coviiii all have to worry about their first item.
Depending on what Coviii's gold is in hand, he should just sell that Hunter's Blessing to finish off the Titan's Bane. He needs it way too much for this Phoenix Siege.
I very much agree.
If he sells it.
Yep, absolutely. It's one of the less expensive items.
Don't think he's going to sell it, though, before this fight starts.
Unfortunate. See if Astral can deal with it. Fields of Love, a fantastic defensive ultimate, just like Wolves' is Stygian Torment. Inbound also no slouch.
But you only get it once.
Yeah.
One shot to work off of it as Layers tries to push Nexamiss and DoctorL back and away from the mid lane Phoenix. That's going to mean go here. Coviiii forced out of the Aegis already as Wolves drops his own ultimate. Only finds IAmTheHamster with it, however, and Layers still looking for more on the back end.
Layers is going to look for nobody. Can't get him. DoctorL gets Coviiii. Trouble, but Wolves is able to answer back. Inbound is low. Inbound is gone. Nexamiss with the ultimate. That's how you play the Achilles. Wolves on the run. He's going to fall down here if Nexamiss can catch up, but Mr. White from a distance, Nexamiss gets him up close and personal. Backside, Layers takes care of DoctorL. And 2 players down for Elevate, 3 players, 4 players down for Astral Authority. Can they do it?
Nexamiss just
with the minions?
that fight, and there are a bunch of creeps inside of his base, and even though he's trying his best, Layers, it's just not going to be enough this time around. He's going to have to fall right as he's watching his own Titan die in the process.
Mr. White comes through and Elevate, stretch this out. We get bonus smite.
And that is just, that's a pretty rough one. But the drafting, it all comes back to the drafting. And while I wasn't directly opposed to Astral Authority's composition in this match,
yeah,
I do feel as though it was a bit unnecessary as far as such high execution requirements. I feel like both of these teams kind of keep baiting each other, or playing themselves, I should say, because they're opting for these high execution compositions that are just, quite frankly, unnecessary.
It's tough. It's certainly being tough watching these teams go ahead and try these comps. The Cupid, not really my thing, not in love with it. Wolves did what he could, but the guys from Astral Authority come a little short. But at the end of the day, I take this one away from the draft, honestly. I think this was all about what happened on the battlefield, and frankly, Elevate looked great. Mr. White stepped up on the Soul and just was fantastic.
Keep Nexamiss away from Warriors because he's clearly being way too comfortable with them, especially that Achilles. And I think Mr. White has got to say goodbye to that Soul too, because Astral Authority probably not going to let him get that one again either.
I agree. Should be tough. Out there in Mixer Chat, let us know who you think should be the MVP. We're going to a game 3, but first, can do an aggro.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. And I think Tom said it best himself. We get more Smite.
Yeah, and with how well Elevate's playing, I'm sure Astral Authority isn't too happy about that, because Astral did what they could in that game, but man, Crimson and DoctorL both had really, really good performances. Nexamiss, they mentioned, on that Achilles. Mr. White was able to stay safe in that dual lane because it's literally impossible to die 1v1 as Soul against Cupid at this level. This was just a well-made draft from Elevate, and they played it very well on top of that. The 1v1s are what stood out to me, though. I mean, there was that one moment near the 20 minutes in where DoctorL finds the 1v1 kill against Layers of Death.
Yeah.
Then spam taunts him. Then the camera switches over to Crimson, who 1v1's Boronic, and then all of a sudden, you just felt like the momentum was going in Elevate's favor.
Well, one of the questions was asked was to do with that Cupid, and I kind of felt like they left it up for a reason. They knew the Soul was there, and you said in the pre-game that, you know, Cupid versus Susano, that's the real matchup here. Didn't come up big for the Cupid. Susano went away with it and actually gets MVP.
No surprise, because I feel like DoctorL has been a driving force for this Elevate team for years at this point. And this is the 1v1 that I'm talking about that he takes against the Layers. This was the turning point in my mind. I mean, this was a close game, and it still was. Even, I mean, just a couple moments later, you're still sitting in a pretty good lead for Elevate, but it's just the dominance of DoctorL and Crimson and Nexamiss. Like, everyone down the list, you can't really look at one person and say, okay, well, they aren't really doing their job. Maybe we can take advantage of them. Everyone from Elevate was filling their role well.
Well, the Doctor needs to be in the house for one more game. Final one between these two. Winner moves on to the finals tomorrow. Loser has to face off against rival to try and get to the finals.
Yeah.
Where would you rather be here, like in rival's shoes? If you were a rival now, who would you rather face?
I think they probably want another shot at Astral, because they probably felt like, yeah, they had the warm-up there. Instead of having to try and figure out how Elevate plays, having that sort of, you know, challenge in front of them,
That's fair.
I think that they'd probably rather face Astral Authority, but I'm sure Astral doesn't want to see Rival again after how well Rival played against them. And I wonder where Elevate's going to go in this game 3 in regards to picks and bans, because losing team gets to decide which side they want to go to.
Yeah.
Elevate chose first pick after that first game. And I feel like Astral had put themselves in a really good spot. That one picks and bans mistake, I think, that they made is banning that Terra whenever there were those 3 power gods up. It was Achilles, Terra, and Daji were all available.
Yeah.
And Astral could have gotten 2 out of those 3. Instead, they banned 1, so they're splitting 1-1. I feel like Astral had themselves in a great spot, made that mistake. I wouldn't mind seeing them go back to second pick to try and do the same thing. I wonder if Elevate would fall for it again, or if they realize that as well, or if Astral's going to take that first pick away from Elevate this time.
And when we do get into this game as well, obviously, what we've seen so far is these two have scrimmed a lot against each other. They know each other ins and outs. And a lot of this does feel like it comes down to the picks and bans. Obviously, gameplay can be a factor. Mistakes can be made.
Sure.
But picks and bans is definitely going to be the biggest talking point here.
Critical. I mean, Astral's picks and bans have really been focused around getting Wolves his priority picks. And if Coviiii is going to be able to get Jingwei, those sorts of things. I mean, Coviiii has not had a very good day so far overall, but Jingwei was the game that he looked his best at, and that seems to be a pick that Astral has been prioritizing for him. So I wonder if Astral's going to go back to that. Are they going to try and top 3 that Jingwei for Coviiii? Or do they just say, well, we'll deal with what we have to deal with. Let's just get Wolves, Chaotic, or Layers, I suppose, or oBoronic on one of their 3 comfort picks. And if those 3 are comfortable, we're going to win the game basically no matter what. Inbound also has gotten his god picked in the top 3 multiple times so far today.
I'd almost like to see with this one, Layers, Oboronic, and Coviiii get picked. Those 3 first. Trust in Wolves, trust in his ability. Everyone said it before, how good he is on the sticks. Let him be a later pick. And Inbound too. I mean, as a support player after all, you're going to have an eclectic god pool as a support player.
Sure.
Because you go into so many games where you're like, well, my team all went magical. Well, my team all went physical. Well, we've got no carry. I guess I'm going to have to be one myself.
Yeah, it's kind of the support life, right? It's not just necessarily playing Guardian every time, but playing what your team needs. And if that's a Guardian or not, you've got to be able to adjust your play style accordingly. And Inbound's been around the scene long enough that he can do that.
And as a Guardian player too, I mean, as a support player in general, you'd love to be able to see the whole of the enemy team and go, right, this is their comp, this is what they've got through, what is going to work out well in the support role to stop what their comp is going to try and do. Do I need the Geb, you know? Do I need the Kumbhakarna to stop the double hunting? You've got plenty of options there.
And I think Kumbhakarna has been a really big pick for Astral Authority, and so does Elevate because they banned it.
Lands overall.
Yeah, LAN overall. Been seeing a lot more Kumbhakarna, not only in these games, but even in the higher level ranked games. Kumbha's starting to pop up here and there, and it's just one of those gods that you kind of forget how difficult it is to play against him until you're seeing him consistently.
It's because he was sleeping. That's all it was. Everyone just forgets.
I wish you would go back to sleep.
Oh, me too. Me too. Maybe I will after this.
Wait, are you saying your Kumbhakarna?
Wait, I gave away my secrets.
Your Kumba?
I was just impassive. What can I say?
Darn it, Graham.
What?
Oh.
There we are right now. Look at me go. Look at me, beating up a dog.
I like your PJs.
They are some PJs I would wear, I'm not going to lie. If I had that, I would also have that lampshade too.
That's a cool lampshade.
I want the hat more than anything else.
The hat?
The hat. The hat, most importantly. See, look at the resemblance. It's so close.
Yeah, you don't have like the big spike coming out of your shoulder, though. You got to work on that, I think. Or maybe you shouldn't. I don't know. It doesn't seem like...
Maybe I do. I've just got it hidden.
It's impressive that I haven't seen it.
It only comes out when I get angry.
Oh.
I just never get angry. If that's the case. I'm like the reverse Hulk.
Never ever, huh?
No.
That's your secret. You're never angry.
I can't be.